Let's talk about one of my favorite topics, liquefied natural gas. So the global liquefied natural gas market is completely being restructured right now. That's one of the reasons why all of this is happening in the Middle East is because we're going through a restructuring of liquefied natural gas. And I'm going to do a longer video on that because I think there's a theory out there that I kind of that I ascribe to. But let's talk about the problem that Qatar is now offline. And Qatar, recall, was the second largest exporter of liquefied natural gas before this conflict. Once Qatar went offline, Australia became the second largest. However, last week there was a tropical storm, a cyclone actually, that disrupted Australian LNG facilities along the northern and western coasts and disrupted supply equating to more than 30 million metric tons per year. Combined with the shock from conflict in the Middle East, more than a quarter of global liquefied natural gas supply has been disrupted. The Wheatstone gas facility near Onslow has had equipment damage from the severe weather, which has impacted restart activities, Chevron said, adding that while damage assessments continue at both the onshore Wheatstone plant and offshore Wheatstone platform, it is likely to be a number of weeks before production returns to full rates to allow time for repairs to be safely completed. Chevron said earlier in the week that one of 3 LNG production units at its Gorgon plant was halted, as well as a platform that feeds Wheatstone, which is a 2-train liquefied natural gas project, which produces 8.9 million tons a year, about 15% of which is meant to be reserved for the domestic market. On Sunday, Chevron said that the 15.9 million ton Gorgon LNG export facility and domestic plant continued to operate at full rates, adding that all of its 3 trains returned to full production on Sunday. The storm also hit infrastructure feeding Woodside Energy Group's Northwest Shelf export plant. The company said it is working to resume normal operations and output continues at its Macedon and Pluto gas facilities. Woodside also said that ship loading at Pluto is restarting following the reopening on Saturday of their Dampier port. Gorgon, Wheatstone, and Northwest Shelf accounted for almost half of Australia's exports last month, or about 8.4% of the global trade. Australia became the world's second largest LNG exporter when Qatar shut down production this month after Iranian strikes damaged its facilities. The country most impacted from the Australian outage will likely be China, which, following the Qatar force majeure production halt, has been forced to rely on Australian product to an even greater degree.